Okay, we're going to use a lot of different things in making this program. We're going to create variables, use while loops, if-else statements, and I'm not sure what else, but let's get started. The purpose of this program is that you're going to press your bump switch, and however many times you press the bump switch, eventually it will travel that many tiles, that many squares. That's our end goal, okay? So I'm going to start off with a while loop and kind of try to explain these things as I go. So here is a while loop, okay? And a while loop, what it does is it does everything inside of this loop again and again and again, as long as whatever's in this little shape is true, okay? So as long as that's true, then it'll keep doing this. So it'll loop again and again and again, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to use screen pressed. So when you press the screen, it'll jump out of the while loop. It looks at it once each time it goes through the loop. But I want it to be when the screen's pressed. If I put this in here, it would run while I held the button down. As soon as I don't touch the screen, it would jump out. So I don't want that. So I'm going to drag this out for a moment. And what I want is somewhere in here, is the not, basically right here. I'm going to put this not in here and then drag my screen pressed into it. So now this will keep looping as long as my while loop, it'll run it again and again until the screen is pressed. Once I press the screen, touch the screen like you did before, once I touch that screen, then it will jump out of the while loop and move down below here. Okay, now what I wanted to do is I wanted to check to see whether the bump switch has been pressed or not. So we're going to put in this if else, okay? So actually I only want, I think I only want an if statement in here, okay? So this is an if statement. That means if this is like a while loop, but it only checks it once. So if this is true, it does it. If it's not true, it keeps on going. Okay? And so that'll loop through. As a while loop continues, it'll loop through. So if the bump switch is pressed, so where's my bump switch? Bum, bum, bum. Always hard to find these things. I can't remember what the color was. And that's the thing, the more you do these, the more you learn the arm 8, drive, right there. If bumper A is pressed, then I want to record that. So to record that, I'm going to create a variable, something else that's new. Down here at the bottom, you'll see it says make a variable. I have this, the one I'm going to use, but I'm going to show you how to do it. You just click on new variable, and you click on what you're going to call it. Okay, I'll call it counter. That way it'll make a new one. Oh, okay, I'll just call it count. I'll call it count. And so now I have a variable here called count, okay? And what I'm going to do is above my while loop now, I am going to make that equal to 0. So, bum, bum, bum. So right here, we have set count to 0. I'm going to put that up above my while loop here. So I'm going to set it to 0. I've created a variable called count, and I'm going to set it equal to 0. Okay? And so now, if bumper A is pressed, then I want to change my count by 1. So what that will do, every time I press the bump switch, my count will increase by 1. Now, one thing you do want to do, because sometimes if you don't press it fast enough and release, if I hold that button down, it's going to make it even bigger. So I'm going to put a little weight after this of 0.1. So it'll wait a tenth of a second before it cycles through again. That gives me time to press the bump switch and let go of it, and that way I know that it's doing that. Now, I just said I know that's doing it, but I want to be able to see that. I want to be able to see how many times I've pressed it. And that's the beauty of this brain, is it has a screen. So what I'm going to do is go back up to my screen stuff up here, and I am going to print count. Oh, wait. Can't do it that way. I need to put in my variable. Print count on brain. And what that'll do is that'll print that number on there. Now, I'm going to back up here just to, I'm going to come up here and set my font. I want to make it bigger, so I'm going to make my font large. I'll make my color a different color. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to make it yellow. And so I set my font, I made it yellow, and I'm going to, let's see, I've got the color. We're going to put it down. So I'm going to set the cursor. Now here's the thing. I want, if I just leave it like this, it'll put numbers next to each other on the screen. It'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which isn't bad. And maybe that's okay. Maybe I'll just leave it like that. But I will at the very beginning. Oh, I could have it go down. Well, we'll put it here. Set cursor, and we'll put it on row 3 just to move it down a little bit, and we'll put that over column 3, move it over a little bit. So these are the kind of things you can play with to make it look right. So it looks good. So this is going to, so I've got a variable, I've got an if statement, and so every time I press it, it'll do that. Now, so how do I get it to go? After I press the screen, it's going to jump out of this while loop, okay? And once it jumps out of the while loop, then I want to drive. But how far do I drive? Well, let's see. Let's drive train. Let's drive forward. And I'm going all the way down the bottom here because now I've jumped out of this while loop. I'm going to drive forward. Whoop, not that one. I need to drive forwards for a certain distance. I want to drive forward in inches. Check this out. I'm going to put my variable in there for count inches. Now, if I do count inches, that if I press it 5 times, it'll go forward 5 inches. I don't want to do that. I want to go forward 5 blocks if I press that. So let me bring my count out here for a second, and I go back to my math section, which is right here, and somewhere in here, here's my times. So I'm going to drive forward for count times 12 inches. Okay, so if I press that bump switch 3 times, it'll go 3 times 12. Each block is 12, so it'll go 3 blocks. So I think, let me look at this. Let's see. Let's try one more thing. I'm not sure if this will work or not. I can't remember, but you can try it out here. So I'm going to clear all rows, and I'm going to put that in right here. I think what that will do, and if it doesn't work, you can change things here, but I'm trying to see if I can get it to just put that number up there. So it would clear it and then put it in, and then it might go to a different row. You may need to play around with that, but otherwise, I think we've got it here. It runs through one time. What you can also do is I can draw once I jump out of my while loop, I can set my fill color to green down here. I can draw a rectangle, and I can never remember what these numbers, which ones are which. So, well, what I can do, you know how you do this? You put on the help. This is what I like to, draw a rectangle. Top X, Y, and the width and the height. So I think that'll just do, let me move it over a little bit then. So we'll move this over like 10, and I'll move it down 10. And this should draw make a little green rectangle, which lets me know in case it doesn't drive. This is a way of telling whether your program worked or not. So everything worked up to them, but maybe my drive didn't work right or something, or my count. This way, at least I know I've exited my while loop. When I see this green rectangle, I will know that I've exited the while loop. Okay? So a lot of stuff here. Variables, which is like a placeholder, just like in math, X stands for something. While loops, which run continuously as long as your statement is true. If statements, that only are like a while loop, but you only do it one time. The other thing would be an if else. And that's like, if this is true, do this, else do something else. And I can't really think of an else thing there, like if you're not pressing the button. You could have something on the screen. You could have it while it's waiting. It could put a timer on there. Let's see. So I don't know, I might add some other things, but I think that's long enough for this tutorial. So nice little program, and hopefully it allows you to demonstrate some different things. Okay.